2 ballots, 18 days of action, thousands of meetings. It all comes down to this. From Plymouth to Perth, Belfast to Bermondsey, from Cardigan to Coventry, every single member, every single function, every single business. We need you to vote, and we need you to vote yes. We've come too far to give up now. We will challenge them from Parliament to the picket lines. They attack us, they move ahead with change. They beg you to vote no or not vote at all. They want you to be scared. They want you to think it's all over. They've underestimated you and your colleagues. They thought you would be done by now. They thought they could weather the storm. They didn't realise you are the storm. From tomorrow, ballot papers will land at your home addresses. Take in all that anger, the intimidation, the suspension of reps and members, the executive action, the goading on workplace. Take it in, open the envelope, vote yes, and post it back. Thank you for your incredible support. Let's go again. Win the ballot, win the dispute.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to CW Live. Welcome to the 12,500 of you watching. Let's make it more. Share the links, tag your colleagues, like the post. Let us know where you're watching from. We'll get as many of those on screen as we possibly can. My name's Chris Webb, Head of Communications. On your screen, on the left of the screen, is our Acting Deputy General Secretary Postal, Andy Fury. Good evening, Andy.
Good evening, everyone.
And our General Secretary, Dave Ward. Good evening, Dave.
Hi, everybody.
So we don't plan. I think everyone knows where we're at. Everyone knows the ballot papers will be landing at your home addresses from tomorrow. You know the juncture that this dispute is at. You know what you've got to do. We don't plan keeping you here all evening. We plan to give you an update on where we are on a number of key matters, but most important of all, tell you why you need to vote yes as soon as those papers land at your home addresses from tomorrow. So I'm not going to delay anything. I want you to let us know where you're watching from. I'm going to get some of those up on screen. Whilst you do that, I'm going to ask Dave Ward, General Secretary, to open the session and give us an overview. Dave.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks for coming on tonight, everyone. Look, your support and the solidarity that you've shown throughout this dispute has been magnificent. There's no other way of putting that. But our message to you tonight is crystal clear. The outcome of this dispute rests on the outcome of this ballot. And what that means is that the task in front of us is to deliver another massive yes vote and another huge turnout. We know you can do that. We know you're up for that. When it comes to the strike action that we've already taken, let's be also crystal clear, that has forced Royal Mail into making numerous concessions during the course of this dispute. You saw in their so-called best and final offer, they said that they'd made 11 concessions, and they had. They did that from the original proposals they put to you in the workplace. You saw the Christmas strikes do two things. One, it brought Royal Mail back to the negotiating table, and secondly, it brought about the biggest concession so far in terms of no compulsory redundancy. Your strike action forced that out of the business. And since Christmas, you've also seen the company drop proposals to cease 3 of the allowances that they were setting out to do. One on RIS payments, one on TPM skills allowance, and one on Sunday premium payments for duty holders on a Sunday. That benefits around a further 45,000 of our members. So don't let anybody tell you or anybody else that the action that you've taken hasn't put the pressure on Royal Mail. And what you're seeing there, and we can report tonight, is the direction that these talks are taking. It demonstrates completely how the talks have gone forward. And we're saying to you tonight, we're not bringing back their best and final offer. We're bringing back an agreement that will be significantly improved on that and will give you the protections that you need going forward. That's our commitment to you. We're also aware at the moment that the company are pressing ahead with executive action. I'm going to say to you, yes, of course, we understand how difficult that is. But let's be clear as well. The best way to deal with that is for you to vote yes in this second ballot. I can also tell you tonight that we've written to Royal Mail, and this is because Simon Thompson, the CEO, made another of his commitments that they would abide by the terms of the IR framework in full for every single local revision. We said, if you do that, and if you're clear on that, and if we can sign a joint statement on that, then we will re-engage. But Simon Thompson has reneged on that again in pressing ahead with executive action. So myself and Andy, the national officers, have had a chat about that. And we can tell you tonight that we've written to Royal Mail and we've made them aware that the postal executive will be considering further strike action in the next few weeks, a couple of weeks actually, under the terms of the existing ballot, unless Royal Mail move back to applying the IR framework in full. So look, we've ramped up the pressure as well in terms of other activities. We said we would get in front of politicians. We had a very successful select committee hearing the other week. It went really well for us. We were able to put our arguments across, the commitment that our members have to the service and their role as key workers. It was a car crash interview for Simon Thompson. There's no other way of putting it. And again tonight, we can tell you, following press reports in the weekend, that Simon Thompson is likely to be recalled to Parliament because he didn't tell the truth in a number of key areas. We think that will happen. We've also had today an excellent meeting with shareholders. We've been able to put across the union's view of this dispute. We've talked about the finances of Royal Mail and the catastrophic decisions that they understood, by the way, that it was the complete wrong time to prioritise shareholders over key workers leading into this dispute. So all of that pressure is ramping up on Royal Mail. But look, what it all comes down to, what it all boils down to is this. We want you to do two things for us. We want you to vote yes, get them ballot papers back as soon as possible, but also encourage after this meeting tomorrow morning, carry on encouraging throughout the ballot period all of your friends and colleagues at work to also vote yes. If you want us to defend and protect your jobs, your pay, your terms, your conditions, if you want us to get an agreement that you deserve out of this dispute, then you have to vote yes. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave. Brilliant. Like I see, there's an absolute massive support. So a few things, everyone, please keep tagging, please keep sharing, please like the post. We need thousands and thousands more to join us as the session goes on. It also, you'll know, we've said this many, many times, the Royal Mail board, the executive will be watching this session. They'll be wondering after 18 days, after the first couple of ballots, are you tired? Are you going to give up? Have you had enough? Let's send them the clearest possible message. If you're prepared to vote yes, and you're going to get out there and not only do that when the papers land, you're going to get out there and convince all your colleagues to do the same. Simply put, I'm voting yes in the comments now, and I'll put as many of those as possible on screen. Andy, one of the things that jumped out at me from Dave's extensive overview then was the point of executive action. When we met the reps, you and Dave met the reps on Friday, a lot of our local reps were extremely worried about the impact of executive action, the intimidation that our members and representatives are facing locally, and reps saying, look, we need to be able to defend ourselves here. As Dave said, I want you to comment if you can. We have now taken a decision, an in-principle decision, that we're going to defend those reps if that's what's needed. Your view on that?
So in terms of executive action, Dave has wrote to Simon Thompson this evening and called out the fact that there's a lack of integrity, a lack of credibility. And indeed, we raised the very same points with the shareholder meeting this afternoon. Look, the reality is Simon Thompson wrote to Dave saying the IR framework agreement would apply in full. They've then spent the next 2 weeks after that letter doing their utmost to avoid that. And we can't accept that. And that's why the postal executive will meet in the next couple of days and seriously consider if further strike action should be called prior to the closing of this ballot. So we will consider all matters. We're back in talks again tomorrow, but we can't have the CEO writing letters, signing joint statements, and then reneging on them. The issue of trust here is fundamental, and we need to be able to deal with somebody that will stick to his or her words and will honour them. We can't carry on the way we're going. In terms of executive action, the best way to deal with that is voting yes. Get those ballot papers back, vote at home, vote quickly, and vote yes, and we will defeat the executive action.
Thank you, Andy. That's brilliant, mate. And I can keep up with all your vote yeses there. Absolutely tremendous. Dave, a couple of people have asked what flavour your crisps are. Spotted them on screen, mate. So you're snacking away there.
It's my lunch today.
That's Dave's lunch. You're working in that hard, like he hasn't had time for lunch.
It's true.
Dave, one of the things I want to come back a couple of times in this session, you and Andy have talked about previously in widening the dispute. So we're not expecting our members to continually take strike action and that be the only string in our bow. We've got political work, we've got our comms work, media, etc. You talked about the select committee, which I think, judging by the members' reaction, was a huge success for the union and a hell of a pressure point on the company. I'm going to put a couple of articles on screen for the members now. You won't be able to see these, but press reports coming today. Royal Mail CEO Simon Thompson could be recalled to give evidence in Parliament as post his vote on strike. The business committee is said to be universally unhappy with Thompson's appearance last week. I imagine the board were universally unhappy with his performance as well, to be honest. And Royal Mail boss Simon Thompson faces being hauled back in front of MPs on allegations of misleading Parliament. Now, probably taking your lead here, Dave, I don't want to overplay that, don't want to underplay that, but it seemed, we were in the room, it seemed like a significant moment. And when you were in the room, the chair and the other committee members, and it has to be said, not all Labour people, because from Conservatives as well, were less than pleased with the level of honesty and the level of detail they were getting from Mr. Thompson. How likely do you think it is that he's going to be recalled? How big a moment would that be if he is recalled? And, doesn't that just show anybody sitting there now thinking, oh, I'm considering voting no, like, come on, you're going to be walking the side of the road and crossing with that guy there?
Well, look, the first answer is it's very likely that he's going to be recalled. In fact, we'd be amazed if that didn't happen. Following the select committee, we wrote to the chair of the select committee with further evidence to explain clearly why Simon Thompson didn't tell the truth on a number of points. That will obviously be considered, but they'd already come to that conclusion. So, yeah, I think it's fair to say that there's pretty much 99.9% certainty that he will be recalled to the select committee. The significance of that is huge, because if a CEO of a company goes in front of a select committee, gets recalled because they've concerns that he's misled Parliament, he's not now just misleading our members, which is what he's spent a lot of time, and the whole of the company, the board as well, Keith Williams, some of the senior management team that they've brought in, they've all acted in the same way during this dispute. But now he's done it in front of Parliament. Well, you can't get away with that. So, I think it bodes well for us that he's going to be called back again. But more importantly, I think it exposes to the public, it exposes to parliamentarians in all parties what it is we're actually dealing with and why, in our view, we can't support the approach, the direction that the company have been taking. So it's really important. What was your last point, Chris?
My last point was around, is he going to, you've talked about his recall.
Yeah.
It was whether or not that was like a significant moment in the dispute in your eyes.
I think I've answered it.
You've answered it very well. Well done, mate. That's excellent. Your comments are fantastic. We're up to 14,500 of you live now. Keep sharing, keep getting the message out there. Let's make this as lively as we possibly can. Andy, there's a lot of emotion in this dispute, understandably, for the way people have been treated so outrageously. Ballot papers will land at home addresses. Important, I keep re-emphasising that, from tomorrow. And we hope they land as quick as possible, because Simon Thompson told the select committee there was no delay. So I'm sure he was telling the truth when he said that. How important is it, though, that, despite that obvious determination, anger, resilience, that people wait until the ballot paper lands at their home address and they cast their vote in private? They're fine to tell us what they voted on social media. All that's fine. Find a post they voted yes. But how critical is it that they wait until they get home to open their ballot paper?
It's fundamental that when you vote at home. vote yes, return that ballot paper immediately. Don't delay, don't leave it, you know, as they say, behind the clock on the mantelpiece or on the coffee table. Don't put it off to the weekend. Do it straight away. But please vote at home, vote yes, and of course encourage all your workmates to do the same.
Spot on, buddy. Someone's asked if this second part of the select committee, if it happens, could be a national public holiday. I think that would be a very good show. Dave, I want to come to you on the issue of the shareholders meeting. I mean, you covered it in your opening. Again, the union try and do things differently. I think we've told your members before, we did something similar in BT, and it did, alongside all of our members in BT's brilliant strike action, support for the union, resilience, etc. It was part of us getting BT back in the room, as was the issue in that dispute. Do you think, what's your initial takeaway? Were they listening today? Do you think it was a positive meeting? Do you think, critically, there's going to be pressure on Royal Mail Group as a result of it?
Yeah, it was an excellent meeting with the shareholders. 20 of the shareholders registered for the meeting. About 15 of them turned up at the meeting. These were a range of shareholders, but some of the biggest shareholders were there. We're not going to go into the detail of what shareholders and that, because it was a private meeting in that sense. But we're absolutely confident that we've got across our concerns about the direction of the company, the strategy of the company. We've been able to talk about their proposals, why things like abandoning the AM delivery period is not the right strategy, not just for our members, but also for customers and for shareholders. We got really good engagement. We got some excellent questions. I think their biggest concern was, how on earth are the company going to be successful if the company is waging war on its own workforce? And they knew exactly the role that you guys have played during the pandemic. They understand that you are the best asset that Royal Mail's got. So they were very clear to us that their concerns were why are Royal Mail attacking their own workers? And we're confident, really confident, that the outcome of that meeting will put more pressure on Royal Mail, and many of them shareholders there today will be asking the questions that we've been asking Royal Mail following that meeting. So it was a good meeting for us, good meeting for our members. We're going to continue with that engagement with shareholders. Can I say as well, we also covered the issue of VASA, because it's important that we recognise that that's still lurking in the background. And clearly they have got, they're aware of that as well. So very significant meeting today, and let's see what develops from that.
Thanks, Dave. Brilliant. I want to come to something with both of you. Just before I do, a few members asking more general questions around sick pay, customer service points, etc. All that stuff is in the ballot. All that stuff is, more rationale for you voting yes to help your union turn around the company's outrageous position on a number of those fronts. I want to put this to you both. I want you to know what the select committee, actually, one of the things we considered for the live session tonight is, do we just replay the whole 45 minutes of the select committee and say, put a vote yes badge on the end of it? I think that should have been enough, really, if anyone who watched the whole debacle. But I think you all know what went on there. You all know the levels of misleading, and that's going to play out in the next couple of days and hopefully in the recall to Parliament. But there was one video, Andy and Dave, I wanted to play with you both, for you both, and play for everyone watching. And I wanted to ask you a couple of questions on the back of it. So let's just watch this for a moment.
When I looked at the long-term investment plan parameters for the calculation of your bonus, I'd noted that the board had changed the way they measure your performance. So traditionally, it would be looking at revenue, profit, service level, delivery. I understand it's been changed to just shareholder value. Is that why you dished out so many millions of pounds last year instead of investing it into the business? Because it creates the opportunity for you to get a larger bonus?
No, not at all. In fairness, my bonuses are based on improving the business constitution, changing the revenue, growing the profitability, and also improving in areas such as CO2. But, I'll come back to what I said.
Can I just check? Because if I've misunderstood, then I'll apologise. But I read that for 2022-23, the long-term investment programme for bonuses for you and your colleagues on the board had been changed because, according to the organisation, it couldn't accurately measure your performance on revenue and profits because of the state of affairs at Royal Mail, and therefore it only looked at shareholder value. Is that not right?
No, my incentives are based on making sure that we deliver good quality to the customer and also make sure that we grow the business.
And so there wasn't that change?
No, there was that change, and I understand the point you're making, but
So there you go. So I'm going to come to you, Andy. I want to, so there's a serious point there. I mean, yet another mistruth. I think Simon was given the opportunity 3 times there to say what the truth was before finally having to being forced out of him. Let's be honest about it. But the serious point I want to make about that clip in its isolation is this: is that every single one of our members has had 2% imposed on them as pay, on the basis that the company's financial position was such that that was all that could be afforded, and that their pay award for postal workers, for parcel force workers, for MDEX, admin, distribution, all of our colleagues, is based on the company's financial position, how much money they have in the bank and how much money they've made, profit, etc. That was the way that CEO and senior management pay historically has been calculated. But this year, or last year's pay, but now this year, that board took a decision to change that for the people at the top of the company, not postal workers. They turn around to you and say, we're going to give £567 million away, but nothing for you. But when it came to them, for the opportunity for them to lead by the front, Thompson, Macaulay, McPherson, all those people out there, Andy, first of all, telling people to vote no, telling people to disengage in the ballot process, to show the union that they're not happy with them. All of those people didn't apply the same standards to when it came to their pay. They chose to put their nose in the trough. They chose to go with shareholder dividend. And as Darren Jones said, the direct link between handing £567 million to shareholders and then pocketing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds. That ain't on, Andy.
Well, it would appear that they've moved the proverbial goalposts and gerrymandered the position. Just let me give you a couple of stats here, because these are important. In 2021, Simon Thompson's pay was a ratio of 20-1. So for 20 postal workers, his wage was the equivalent of that. Now for 2022, that's gone to 23 postal workers to 1. So he's improved his lot in a significant way through that ratio, from 20-1 to 23-1. But the numbers are even more stark. His total remuneration package was £753,000. So £750,000. Bearing in mind you're losing £1 million a day. His bonus was £142,000, as the select committee pointed out. But another eye-watering sum, which is just staggering, is that the chief finance officer and his overall package, remuneration as they call it, reward package, was £1,339,000 last year, and his bonus was a whopping £847,000. So look, this is double standards. The people at the top of the pyramid are getting richer. They're having more of the profit for themselves, and our members got a paltry 2% imposed. And the 3.5% they're also offering, they're not prepared to backdate to April last year. One of our demands is that 3.5% is backdated, and that's the least our members deserve. They deserve a lot more, and they certainly deserve to be able to get sums of money that would be able to pay the electricity bills and the gas bills. Simon Thompson, all of those others, you've had a lot of money out of this industry, and yet you're pleading poverty for the industry, losing £1 million a day. It ain't right. Something's dreadfully wrong here, and I'm convinced when he is back before the select committee, they will be asking some very, very searching, tough questions, because this is gross mismanagement of this wonderful industry. But at the same time, people are doing all right. But the people doing all right are the people at the top.
Thank you, Andy. Spot on. Dave, I can see from the feed tonight, we can see from the gate meetings that are happening, receiving feedback from all of our brilliant reps and branches. We can be confident but not complacent on the yes vote and the turnout, and once again our members back in this union. But there will be people who, for whatever reason, are thinking like, should I vote yes? Should I vote no? I mean, how clear do we have to be that if you put your tick in or your cross in the no box, these are the people you're standing with. That's the honest truth here, is like, you are moving away from your local reps who do an incredible job, your branches do an incredible job, people who like, you know, Dave, Andy, the executive, all losing money on strike days, all standing shoulder to shoulder with you. You're moving away from that block of people, and you're walking over the road to stand with Thompson, McPherson, Macaulay and co. I mean, you know, look, and they try and play these people back into our members in different ways, don't they? Thompson's what he is, they try and play Ricky Macaulay as a man of the people, former postal worker, but he's not on the same pay. His bonus is based on that shareholder thing. McPherson, the guy in the shadows, his bonus is based on that as well. All these people coining it in, and if you're voting no, you're with those people. It is just the brutal truth of it, Dave.
Well, the reality is, and I'm sure all of our members understand this, and there will be concerns, you know, how long is this dispute going to go on, and all of those things. We've been through a tough time, but you cannot, at the end of the day here, end up standing alongside people who will always put themselves first. They will never put your concerns in front of their own. That's the reality. That's why the union exists. That's why it's important that workers stand together. That's why trade unions fight for better pay, terms and conditions, and defend their members' jobs. These people will always take the option that looks after them, looks after the shareholders, and they expect you to pay the price for their mistakes. You cannot allow that to happen. And I'd ask every single member who's on there tonight, and there's thousands of you, get out there in the morning and make these points clear to all of our members. We know we're going to return a yes vote. There's no room for complacency. We need a massive turnout, and we need people to remember that they took sides because of all of the concerns of all of us. Nothing has changed in that. You know what you need to do, and I'm sure you're going to do it.
Thank you, Dave. That's fantastic. So that you've heard it there again. You know, as Dave's pointed out, it's time to pick sides. Andy's pointed out it's time to pick sides. If you're still with your union, simply put "I'm with my union" in the comments now, and then do exactly what Dave said. If his best possible advice is get in work tomorrow, pass these messages on to all of your colleagues. Whilst you put "one with my union" on screen, Andy, I'm going to come to you if I can on the question of the breadth of this dispute and just how important it is that every single member votes yes. So I'm thinking, point of view of like Royal Mail might say, this doesn't impact on you in parcel force, this doesn't impact on you in admin, this doesn't impact on you in deliveries. We've seen their comms trying to fracture the membership. Just how important is it that wherever you work, fleet, engineering, parcel force, admin, MDEP, distribution, logistics, deliveries, processing, left some out there probably, all of our members vote yes?
Well, it's absolutely imperative that irrespective of what job you do in Royal Mail Group, whether you handle parcels or letters, whether you drive red parcel force vans or red Royal Mail vans, whether you deal with parcel force customers over the phone and complaints for Royal Mail, wherever you happen to be, process payroll, you know, whatever you do, whether you're an engineer, whether you're servicing the vehicles in fleet, whatever you happen to do, you are part of the great infrastructure of Royal Mail. The whole Royal Mail operation is dependent upon all of our members. Every single one of you plays a massive part. You are a fabulous asset to this great industry. Without you, there isn't a Royal Mail. You are Royal Mail. And consequently, when you look at their best and final offer, when you look at the damage they're trying to do to your jobs, every single aspect of those proposals will impact on our members wherever you happen to be. A very real threat is outsourcing, and that can certainly impact upon many of our minority grades as well. So look, you only got to look at the way they want to change the attendance times in deliveries. I was in the Croydon delivery office this morning doing the gate meeting there, and members were saying that if they move people's start times back by a couple of hours, it means that they won't be there to pick up the kids. Their partners or spouses won't be able to go and do a second job, which is so vital for the income into the household. Look, these are very real stories. It's not just the impact on your job, your terms and conditions, it's the impact on your families as well. And just one last plea, please get out on those gate meetings tomorrow and the rest of this week. Every single workplace needs to have a gate meeting, irrespective of where you are. All of our members need to be addressed by our reps. Our reps will be leading from the front on this, our executive, our field officials, our branches, all of our reps. Let's have those gate meetings and let's show Royal Mail we mean business and that we're going to vote yes.
Fantastic, Andy. Dave, I want to give you the opportunity. One of the things we've talked about on many of the sessions is Royal Mail's outrageous attacks on our individual conduct attacks on our reps and members, and we've got quite a lot of those local reps and local members suspended. So, you know, Andy's just really eloquently said out there that everyone has to step up. You know, if your rep's not there, then talk to each other, get around each other, back each other, get the word out. But Dave, a message to our brilliant army of reps. We had over 1,000 of them on a call on Friday, well up for it still, back in the union. But they got a big job to do. You know, they've got to get the vote out for us from tomorrow and all this week and for the next 3 weeks. A message to all of them on the job they're doing.
Look, our reps are the best reps in any trade union in the country. We're the only union in the country that really has a proper local rep structure. That's why we're such a strong union. That's what Royal Mail want to break, because they know that the real contact between the union and our members takes place at local level. Our members know that as well. These guys are volunteers, all of our reps, and they're some of the best that you'll ever come across. They care about you, the membership. They care about making sure that your interests are put forward to us, and they're never shy in doing that. So, you know, we thank you for all your efforts. And a message again, I want to be, you know, I can't be any clearer about this point. This ballot is different in that it brings pay and change together, but also it also says that we are fighting here for the members and the reps who have been unfairly attacked by Royal Mail during this dispute, and we're not settling this dispute until we get justice for every single member and rep who's facing unfair conduct charges.
Thank you, Dave. Brilliant and crystal clear. Andy, your final message tonight to our members watching.
Look, we're absolutely convinced that the members are angry and they're going to stand up and defend themselves and fight for their terms and conditions. But we've got to smash this turnout. We've got to deliver the best possible vote we've ever had. What I would urge you all to remember is the spirit of Parliament Square back in December. Remember the spirit on the picket lines. Remember what the employer's trying to do to you. They're trying to wreck your working lives, wreck your terms and conditions. And all of the concessions we've wrung out of them is because of your hard work, your efforts and your sacrifice. And that's worth going again. We've got a no compulsory redundancy deal on the table. But make no mistake about it, they wanted to make people compulsory redundant. And on the 14th of October, that's what they announced to the markets would happen if they didn't get enough volunteers. You managed to get them to reverse their position. There's been other U-turns as well. Sundays not being compulsory, many other U-turns from the company, and there's more to be had, and we would deliver that for you when you vote yes. Use your vote at home, make sure you return your ballot paper quickly and get all your workmates to vote yes as well. Let's smash this vote. And if you never know, once we deliver that yes vote, we may not have to take strike action again, because it might be enough to get them to cave in and collapse in talks. If we have to use the yes vote again, we will do that sensibly, responsibly and carefully, taking into account people's views and opinions. But I fundamentally believe you deliver this yes vote and we will get a cracking deal for you.
Thank you, Andy. I was going to bring you in, Dave, but I will bring you in, of course, to finish the session. But we were also sent a bit of poetry. You know him, actually. You guys both know him, from Paul Taylor, one of our reps down in Plymouth. And I thought it'd be nice to break the session up just before you closed it up, Dave. And Paul sent us this poem, so forgive me if I stutter as I read it out. But I thought it was really powerful. So if you like what Paul's saying, then give him a well done in the comments. 18 days on the picket line, 18 days giving up money and time. Bosses tell us we have no hope. I see my colleagues struggling to cope. Changes being made all around me, mail piled up as far as I can see. Thompson goading us on workplace, sending his bullies to get in our face. And many of us ask, can we go again? Tomorrow we'll find out. I have my ballot and pen. Day to day, we have all the power. They have all the power. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow is ours. So rise up, colleagues, all over our lands. Let's vote in our 1,000, every woman and man. Thompson's worth millions, but he's not built like us. Solidarity, friendship, we're built of strong stuff. Stick your executive action where the sun doesn't shine. You've lost all the hearts and you've lost all the minds. 115,000 will get us out of this mess. Get me that ballot because I'm voting yes. I'm part of the union. They have my back. Vote in our thousands. Let's get Thompson the sack. That's from Paul Taylor down in Plymouth. Dave, a word for Paul's poetry and your closing message, my friend.
I think we'll all endorse Paul's words. That's a great poem. Let's get it posted up on our website, and I'm sure our members will also endorse that. Final comments from me. This is another pivotal moment in the dispute, and you guys have stood up to the most brutal attacks that we've seen from any employer on a group of workers in decades. You've stood up to that because you know that we're fighting for the very future of your jobs, your pay, your terms, your conditions, and of course the future of the services that you provide to the public. You've seen what Royal Mail have to offer in terms of their lack of honesty, their lack of integrity, the way that they try and demoralize people. That ain't a company that's looking after its workforce. That's a company and leadership that looks after itself. And, you know, there's only one way that you can deal with those type of attacks. We're at that point now, and we are absolutely crystal clear on this point. Please take this message into the workplace. The outcome of this dispute will depend on the outcome of this ballot result. If you want us, and we want to defend your jobs, your terms, your conditions, the future of the industry, if you want us to get an agreement that really can align the interests of workers, customers, and the future of the company, then there's only one thing you need to do. That's vote yes. There's another thing. Go out and tell all your members and colleagues in the workplace to do the same. Thanks very much. You know that this is the moment. We've got to go again. It's up to you guys. You're going to deliver for us. We're certain of that.
Brilliant. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, everyone watching. You know the job. By the way, the video, which I'll play you out with now, is also going to be live on our pages at 8 o'clock. So please share the hell out of it. But we'll see you later. Take care, everyone. Get the vote out.
Thanks, everyone. 2 ballots, 18 days of action, thousands of meetings. It all comes down to this. From Plymouth to Perth, Belfast to Bermondsey, from Cardigan to Coventry, every single member, every single function, every single business. We need you to vote, and we need you to vote yes. We've come too far to give up now. We will challenge them from Parliament to the picket lines. They attack us, they move ahead with change. They beg you to vote no or not vote at all. They want you to be scared. They want you to think it's all over. They've underestimated you and your colleagues. They thought you would be done by now. They thought they could weather the storm. They didn't realise you are the storm. From tomorrow, ballot papers will land at your home addresses. Take in all that anger, the intimidation, the suspension of reps and members, the executive action, the goading on workplace. Take it in. Open the envelope, vote yes, and post it back. Thank you for your incredible support. Let's go again. Win the ballot, win the